My worst humble moment. A broken condom revealed I was the friend. It all started on Instagram. There was this girl I'd known since high school. You know how it goes. Lots of likes, flirty messages, fun chats. Her birthday came up and she said, "Come to the club, I'll be waiting." I, being my usual procrastinating self, showed up late. The bouncers at the entrance were strict. "You're not getting in, dude." So I texted her. They wouldn't let me in heading back home. But she, being smart and determined, replied, "Don't worry, I'll stay a bit longer and meet you there." My nerves were off the charts. This was the first time we were meeting in person, and my heart was racing. When she arrived at the house, the chemistry was immediate. Everything felt electric, like the universe had set this moment up perfectly. We laughed, we talked, and for a brief moment, nothing else in the world existed. Then, mid-break, her phone rang. It was her ex. Ex. "Where are you?" Her. "Here with a friend, just chatting." Ex. "Send me your location. I'll come get you." I could feel my stomach drop. The excitement turned into tension in an instant. Before she left, we decided to check the condom. And that's when we noticed it. It was torn, not at the tip, but along the side. A small piece of latex was missing. Our adrenaline skyrocketed. We didn't know whether to panic or keep going. After a quick glance at each other, we decided to continue, at least until the ex showed up. She fixed herself up while I stayed locked away, making sure no one would see what was happening. And then she left. An hour later, she texted me. "It's all ruined. He dumped me, and I'm super sad." I was stunned. "What happened?" I asked. And then she told me everything. Her ex, trying to act romantic and win her back, had gone further than anyone expected. In the process, he discovered the piece of condom that had gone missing. He freaked out. And that's when I realized the truth. The so-called friend who had been part of the night was actually a guy using flavored condoms. The ex lost it completely. He sent her away. And I was left staring at my phone thinking, this can't happen again. What started as a wild night with intense chemistry had spiraled into chaos. A night that should have been unforgettable for all the right reasons turned into a lesson in trust, risk, and the unexpected ways things can go wrong. And even now, I know I'll never forget it. After the ex freaked out, the night didn't get any easier. She was panicking, texting me nonstop, trying to explain everything that had happened. I could feel her stress through every word. Meanwhile, I was stuck in my own thoughts, replaying the night over and over, trying to process the chaos. The adrenaline from earlier had turned into a strange mix of fear and excitement. Every time her phone buzzed, we both jumped, wondering if it was him. The tension was impossible to ignore. Even though the worst had already happened, the situation had completely shifted the dynamic between us. Every glance, every movement, every laugh carried weight. Nothing felt simple anymore. We tried to calm ourselves, pretending everything was fine. But deep down, we knew it wasn't. The excitement and chemistry from before had turned into caution and uncertainty. The night that had started with laughter and thrill now felt fragile and tense. We realized that surviving this moment wasn't just about avoiding the ex. It was about navigating the aftermath of something completely unexpected. We had to figure out how to handle the embarrassment, the risk, and the chaos without making things worse. Even with everything falling apart, there was a strange sense of relief. We had survived the initial disaster. We had survived the shock, the panic, and the confrontation. And somehow, that made us feel stronger, even if it was still terrifying. By the end of the night, it became clear that nothing could erase what had happened. We had learned lessons about trust, risk, and how quickly things could spiral out of control. It was a night that started with excitement and intense chemistry, but ended with chaos that neither of us would ever forget. By the time we thought the night was settling, it exploded into chaos. Her ex showed up, furious, demanding to know what had happened. We froze, unsure if we could handle the confrontation. The air felt heavy, every second stretching like an eternity. He started yelling, his voice shaking with anger and disbelief. She tried to explain, but every word seemed to make him more upset. The adrenaline was unbearable, and my heart was racing so fast I could feel it in my throat. Everything we had planned for the night felt like it had fallen apart. The excitement, the chemistry, the nervous energy, it all collided into pure panic. We were trapped in a moment where nothing could go right, and every decision mattered. He demanded answers, pacing back and forth, clearly overwhelmed. We had no way to rewind, no way to fix what had already happened. And in the middle of it, I realized how fragile everything had been, how one small mistake had turned a night of fun into total chaos. We tried to stay calm, but every glance, every movement felt like it could ignite another explosion. Minutes felt like hours, and silence only made it worse. Finally, after what felt like forever, he stormed out. But the tension didn't leave us. We were shaking, hearts pounding, trying to process the whirlwind of what had just happened. It was a mixture of fear, relief, and disbelief. A moment of excitement had turned into a full-blown lesson on unpredictability, risk, and how quickly things can spiral out of control. We knew this night would stay in our memories forever. The chaos, the adrenaline, the panic, it wasn't over yet, but we had survived the worst of it. After the ex finally left, the house was quiet. We sat there trying to catch our breath. Our hearts were still racing, and every sound made us jump. The adrenaline was fading slowly, leaving behind a mixture of relief and disbelief. We started talking, piecing together everything that had happened. We laughed nervously, realizing how insane the night had been. But there was also a heavy weight on our shoulders, the kind that comes from knowing how close things came to spiraling completely out of control. She apologized for everything, even though it wasn't really her fault. I tried to reassure her, but words felt empty after all that chaos. We both knew this night had changed something between us, something unspoken but undeniable. The so-called friend was gone, and the ex had stormed off. But the lessons of the night lingered. We had learned how fragile plans can be, how quickly excitement can turn into panic, and how one small mistake can change everything. We made a silent agreement to be more careful in the future, not just about the ex or the chaos, but about ourselves, our choices, and the situations we let ourselves be part of. It was a night of thrill, tension, and chaos, but it was also a night of growth and awareness. By the end, we realized that surviving this experience wasn't just luck. It was about staying calm, thinking quickly, and trusting each other when everything went wrong. And even though we were exhausted, shaken, and still processing, there was a strange sense of accomplishment. We had faced the storm together and made it through. By the time we thought we had processed everything, reality started sinking in. We were exhausted, our minds still racing, but there was no going back. Every detail of the night kept replaying in our heads. The excitement, the panic, the ex showing up, the missing piece of the condom, the chaos that had erupted. It was overwhelming, yet strangely exhilarating. We talked for hours, recounting each moment, analyzing every decision we had made. I realized just how small mistakes could escalate into disasters. One moment of carelessness, one small oversight, and suddenly a night that was supposed to be fun had become a full-blown drama. She laughed at some parts, nervously, and I joined in. But underneath the laughter was a quiet tension. We both understood how lucky we were that things didn't get even worse. The ex could have caused even more chaos, the friend situation could have gone public, and the entire night could have ended in complete disaster. We reflected on the unpredictability of life, how one seemingly ordinary night could turn into a story we would remember forever. It was a reminder that even in moments of thrill and excitement, reality has a way of reminding you how fragile everything really is. I realized how much trust and quick thinking mattered, how staying calm under pressure made all the difference, and how sometimes the most chaotic moments can teach the biggest lessons. We started joking about the situation, teasing each other about the absurdity of what had happened. But the jokes were layered with relief, a shared understanding that we had survived something insane. We both knew we had to be more careful next time, not just about the ex or the chaos, but about our own choices and boundaries. As the night faded into early morning, a quiet calm settled over us. We weren't completely relaxed, the tension lingered, but it was tempered by the feeling of survival. We had faced unpredictability, embarrassment, and chaos together, And somehow, that made the experience unforgettable. I thought about how easily the night could have gone differently. One wrong move, one panic reaction, one overreaction from anyone involved, and the story could have ended in disaster. And yet, despite all that, there was a strange sense of accomplishment in knowing we had made it through. We also reflected on human nature, on how people can react under pressure, how jealousy, panic, and unexpected events can reveal true character. The ex had shown his impulsive and possessive side. The friend had shown cleverness and spontaneity, albeit in a chaotic way. And we had shown resilience and adaptability, managing to navigate a situation that could have easily destroyed the night. By the time the sun started rising, we felt a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and a strange pride. Relief that the chaos had ended, exhaustion from the emotional roller coaster, and pride that we had survived something wild, unpredictable, and completely insane. I knew we would tell this story over and over, exaggerating parts, laughing at moments, shaking our heads at how out of control it had gotten. But deep down, we also knew the lessons would stick. The importance of trust, communication, quick thinking, and managing risk. And the understanding that even when everything goes wrong, you can still come out stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever life throws at you next. Finally, as we parted ways, there was a silent acknowledgement. A shared understanding that this night would never be forgotten. The thrill, the chaos, the panic, the laughter, the lessons, they were all wrapped together into one unforgettable experience. And I realized that life doesn't always give you perfect nights or simple stories. Sometimes it gives you chaos, confusion, embarrassment, and panic. Sometimes it gives you wild, unforgettable moments that test you, scare you, and teach you all at once. And surviving those moments, laughing through them, learning from them, that's what makes them worth remembering. That night, what had started as excitement had turned into chaos, and then into reflection. It had ended with exhaustion, relief, and wisdom that could only come from living through something completely unpredictable. And even though we were tired, shaken, and slightly traumatized, we both knew we had grown from it. That was the true ending, the part no one else would understand unless they had been there, in the middle of it, feeling every heartbeat, every panic, and every laugh. A night that started with chemistry, thrill, and nerves had turned into a story of chaos, lessons, and resilience. And I knew, without a doubt, that I would never forget it.